Good morning and welcome to Mission Control Houston and Space Station Live. We're here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room where the International Space Station Flight Control team is watching over all of the crew's activities in space. Flight Director Tony Sakachi is leading them today, and astronaut Megan MacArthur is in the Capcom seat. The Expedition 36 crew is now more than halfway through their day, which began at 1 a.m. Central Time. They are Russian Commander Pavel Vinogradov, U.S. Flight Engineers Chris Cassidy and Karen Nyberg, European Space Agency Flight Engineer Luca Parmitano, and Russian Flight Engineers Alexander Misurkin and Fyodor Yurchikhin. Cassidy, Vinogradov, and Misurkin launched into space on March 28th and docked a few hours later, so that they've now spent 125 days in space. Nyberg, Parmitano, and Yurchikhin followed in their footsteps on May 28th, so they've now spent 64 days in space and at the station. Together, the crew is currently orbiting 258 miles above the border of China, heading northeast towards the northernmost portion of this orbit around the Earth. Inside, Cassidy and Nyberg were back at the space station's robotic workstation today, getting ready for the arrival of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's Kounotori H-2 transfer vehicle number 4. That vehicle is set to launch from the Tanegashima Space Center in Japan at 2:48 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, and then make its way to the space station on August 9th, where Nyberg and Cassidy will be waiting to capture it with the space station's robotic arm and bring it in for a berthing on the Harmony node. Today they're brushing up on their skills for that activity. Nyberg is also spending a good bit of her day getting ready for the InSpace 3 experiment. That's an experiment that looks at how magnetic fluids are influenced by magnetic fields in microgravity. It could help engineers here on the ground design structures such as bridges and buildings to better withstand earthquakes. View here of Nyberg working inside the microgravity science glove box where that experiment will be housed. Besides these science experiments, Cassidy and Parmitano are each doing some maintenance work on some of the science facilities at the space station. Parmitano is troubleshooting an issue with the handling mechanisms drawer for the European Space Agency's Biological Experiment Laboratory, which provides an on-orbit biology laboratory that lets scientists study the effects of microgravity and space radiation on uni- and multi-cell organisms such as bacteria, insects, seeds, and cells. And Cassidy is performing a checkout of the combustion chamber in the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's multi-purpose small payload rack. You can see him inside the Kibo laboratory where that equipment is housed in this video from earlier today. And on the Russian side of the space station, Commander Alexander Vinogradov is continuing his work to unload the Progress 52 resupply vehicle that arrived at the space station on Saturday. And his Russian crewmates are working on several different experiments, including one that looks at cultivating different types of cells in microgravity, and one that studies the creation of methods and equipment for producing aseptic conditions for conducting biotechnology experiments in space. That's what's going on in space today, and this is Mission Control Houston.